Your perspective in the building, man. Big shouts out to my boy whole team Dot checking in live from Turkey. Y'all, we going
Man,
through a lot to put this together. Brother, what
you see
time
what's
is it
going
over in
on too.
Turkey?
You see what's going on too. Let me get this off real quick. You know,
Hey, Champ.
we had a battle. We did have a battle. It was San Diego State versus Houston. You know, you guys won. I owe you a couple push-ups. Yes, I understand that, but I'm still repping Houston Energy, U of H for the city. You know what I mean? Into the grave until it's all over and said and done. At the end of
Yeah,
the day, we still top 18.
yeah,
Look at the standings right now. We top 18, man. Couple losses to some really good teams.
yeah,
Coach Sampson gonna get the guys together. We're gonna
yeah.
figure it out. We're gonna go into conference blazing, all guns blazing, win the conference. I'm calling it now. Win the conference, get back to where we need to get to. Shout out to U of A, shout out to San Diego State. But yeah, man, it's 10:40 right now. PM.
10:40 at night.
Yeah, 10:40 at night. It's
It's
perfect timing for
1:40
me.
right now in the H.
Yeah.
I'm in downtown Houston. It's feeling lovely. I'm feeling even better. Big shouts out to my San Diego State Aztecs, man. I roll with y'all. I appreciate everybody that came through, tapped in with the post, left a comment on there, and actually voted, which gives us some nice analytical data.
Yeah.
We're able to see that only 29% of people roll with win. And
Yeah.
welcome to my world. People always been telling me since day one, man. But enough of that, man. I want to take the time to, get a little bit serious, man. And again, appreciate all the support. If you get a chance, man, make sure you like it, make sure you comment it, make sure you subscribe and turn your notifications on. Your
Yeah.
perspective is dropping great content every day.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, man, this is season 2, episode 6, but it's going to be the first segment of what our new segment is called Coach's Corner, right? So we're going to start having some amazing coaches come in and drop some perspective and drop some game on us to continue to give to you guys, man. So the youth, obviously, we always say this is an informative experience. It's not just to be funny or to be jokey, but we're hoping that you can come to this podcast and learn something, man. So without further ado, man, I'd like to bring in the head coach of Bowling Green University, ex Findlay Prep assistant, 2021 Coach of the Year in the Big Sky Conference, ex UNLV Running Rebels head coach, Mr. Todd Simon, man. I appreciate you coming in, man, hanging out with us. And, man, catch up with us, man. How's life treating you out there, brother?
Oh man, we're having a blast. We're out here in Ohio. Back to the Midwest. Born and raised out here in Michigan, and so it's good to get back into close to family, all that good stuff. But yeah, man, we had a heck of a run. So I've been following along all your success, and for those that don't know, man, you were what 15 years old when so you know 2 doors down the hallway. We had a lot of dudes in that room that you spent 3 years in, and
Absolutely.
we got a lot of wins too. So
We got even more wins, man. And, it's definitely something we're going to jump into, man. But I like to say, me and Coach Simon have a great relationship, man. I appreciate all of the stuff that you helped me with along my journey, brother. You were always one of my favorite coaches. You always kept it real with me. You would pull me to the side, talk sense into me. And even more importantly, that anytime I was close to a triple double, he'd be on the bench saying, "Win, you got 9 assists. You need to get one more, man. You got what? You need one more assist for the triple double, man." But
yeah.
man, with that being said, man, we're gonna jump right into it. Coach, catch us up, man. Talk to us about the current season. How you guys doing? How's it looking? Expectations as we go into conference play, man. Kind of catch us up on what's going on at Bowling Green.
Yeah, last year took over the program. We got Southern Utah rolling there. We had 3 straight 20-win seasons there, and won a Big Sky championship. Went to the WAC, got to the championship game, and then came over here to Bowling Green. They were coming off a 20-loss season, and last year we were able to flip it to 20 wins, get to the semifinals, and the state of this. We had 10 new players last year, and when you win at the mid-major level, you gotta get 10 new ones again. So we got 10 new guys. We got a talented team. I like our group. We geared up the schedule. We had Michigan State, down the last few minutes, and we're just battling. We've been on the road. We've been in 5 different states. We're just putting this team, through the fire because we're trying to be that team from the MAC this year.
Yeah. No, man, I definitely paid attention. I watched that Michigan State game. Like everybody knows, the standout big man. Loving his game right now. I'm loving it. Number 6, big fella. I
Yeah.
like what he doing. I like what he doing. I think he's going to take the NCAA by storm. You know, and like I said, I have a few friends. One of my friends went to Bowling Green. So Delvin Dickerson. I don't know if you're familiar with that name, but Delvin Dickerson with the Bowling Green, he had nothing but great things to say about it. Shout out Delvin Dickerson. But once again, Coach, man, we appreciate you pulling up. You know, it means a lot to the pod. It means a lot to win. It means a lot to me. You know what I mean? And I think everybody back home, whoever's watching, need to hear this. This is something that you need to hear if you're trying to be a professional. If you want to take basketball serious, and is this what you call your life or your livelihood, then you have to listen to the coach, because you only get as far as you know what I mean, as the person that's coaching you. And that's what we generally trying to push out and tell everybody and get the guys to listen to and understand.
No, that's one thing I appreciate. You guys have been through it, and you're giving back with the right message. You've had the experiences, but you're not keeping it to yourself. You're helping the next group, and hey, that's all we can ask for in this thing.
Exactly.
Man, so Coach, let's kick it off right here, brother. Obviously, we talk about it, the perspective, man. A big thing about, the game is the journey and kind of all the ups and downs and the scratching and clawing to ultimately get you to where you at today, which, all of us are at different points. But talk to us about the journey, man. Obviously, I know, at least from the time that I met you, kind of our story or paths crossed. You was assistant coach at Findlay Prep, and that's 2010. It's 2015 now. So how do you go from assistant at the top high school in the nation? I take a lot of pride saying that too. I let these guys know every chance I get. Undisputed. How do you go from being the top assistant at undisputed best high school in America to head coach at a major university, bro? Kind of give us some advice on that journey.
Yeah, real non-traditional journey, right? Kind of came through it. Was coaching high school for a year in Michigan way back in 2003, and then moved out west from Michigan. Decided to try to do something different, and literally just was sitting in gyms and volunteering. And Coach Westfall and his staff said, "Hey, why don't you, if you're interested, you can volunteer at Pepperdine." And I was just hungry, interested in recruiting and doing analytics and doing just whatever and working guys out. And they gave me a chance, and then slid over to UNLV as a kind of video guy, grad assistant, just again, doing the same stuff, working guys out, just getting people better. And after 2 years of doing that, could have kind of slid up and took on a bigger role there, but it was Findlay Prep was just an idea at that time. And Coach Peck and I and Mr. Findlay gave us, kind of a blank canvas to try to create something. And obviously I think our dream for it was probably bigger than anyone knew. And so right away we went almost 0 to 60 on that thing. And year one, kind of got off the ground, and then years 2 through 6, I was an assistant during those years with you, and then year 7 I took it over as head coach. But yeah, 235 and 7 over those 6 years.
Wait, say that again. What was that?
And I can tell you about every one of the 7. I don't remember a lot of the 235. I remember all the 7.
Hey, me too.
Yeah, man, those hurt. But
hurt.
Oh man, but yeah, we got those 3 national championships, and then UNLV came calling, so it was one of those situations. I loved Findlay Prep. I was going to stay there forever. Turned down a lot of college stuff over those years. Wasn't necessarily, I don't mess with happy, right? And we had the Empire going. I was just gonna, keep it rolling. We were gonna have the greatest teams of all time coming up, and we just, but it was made too much sense. UNLV was closer to my house even than Findlay was. So went over there, became associate head coach, and then 2.5 years of that, and became the interim head coach. Is I think the youngest head coach in America at the time, and did that for half a season, kind of stabilized that, and then moved over to Southern Utah, which at the time was 351 in the country. It was a little bit of I like situations where it's like, okay, hey, you're either going to do this or you're not. Let's try to survive, and that's kind of what position I put myself in. Let's see if we can fight from the very bottom and prove that you can coach and you can do this. And we did. We flipped it around, so win conference titles and getting postseason, deep in postseasons, and then Bowling Green made a lot of sense, for the family and new challenge, and same deal here. Some people know what you are. I'm a builder. I know what I am. Like, I know what I enjoy, and I like building culture. We haven't been to the tournament here since 1967, and I want that challenge. We've only had six winning seasons over 20 years, and those make people run away, but those are the things I like. I said, all right, if we're going to commit to it, let's do it, and let's prove people we can do it again. So that's kind of how we got here, and now we're trying to get it rolling.
Man, that's amazing.
That's like you said, a lot of coaches maybe run away from that. A lot of players run away from that. It's hard to recruit. It's hard to, because we doing our research. I'm sure Wynn coming out of high school, 5-star. We're going to talk about it again. Number 1 recruit out of Findlay. Bowling Green calling. You see they had 6 winning seasons over the last 20. You're not even considering it, right? Mm-hmm. So I would assume that head coaches and coaches are like, nah, we're going to stay far away from that. But that just shows a testament and dedication and passion that you have just to take on that challenge and be like, hey, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to build this. We're going to turn it around. And by the way, you guys looking great. So, what can we say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's part of the process. And, it's a beautiful struggle. It's a beautiful struggle. That's part I love. Just get that.
It's a lot of opportunities in the challenges, man. It's a lot of opportunities in the challenges.
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
So coach, I know we kind of talked about Southern Utah, but let's kind of talk about the 2021 year. Coach of the year. I believe you guys won the WAC that year too, right?
The Big Sky. Yeah.
Big Sky, the same year. So all those accomplishments in the same year, kind of give us a rundown of that season, the guys that was on that team, and how did y'all build that culture and that camaraderie to, achieve the ultimate goal,
Yeah, we were 20-4. It was a group that just clicked. We had some really talented teams. We just couldn't quite get over the hump leading up to that, and then that year, it just kind of clicked for us, and we were able to kind of about mid-season. We sat there in practice and said, "Boys, we're pretty good. We're pretty good," and there's just the cohesion, the toughness. We kind of felt like, we were. I don't know that we got leads and we just kept leads, and it was just, one of those fun seasons where, 5 minutes left in the game and we're just putting that ball on our hip and say, come get us, game after game after game. And so that was a lot of fun that season. And the accolades are great. That was, first Conference Coach of the Year award and the Jim Phelan National Coach of the Year award, which was a big honor because of the coaches involved in choosing that, so that was special and unexpected, and that year was great, and believe it or not, we got most of that team to come back the following year, and that's when we kind of continued to make our run as we moved into the WAC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you guys made the tournament that year, right?
We didn't. We lost in the semifinal. We get an upset. Kid hit a buzzer beater, block shot from the 3, catches in the middle of the lane. Big fella turns around, flips it in, knocked out. the breaks of the game.
In the Big Sky, you got to win the conference tournament to get in. Right?
Get there, yeah, yep. And that's
not fair. I mean, after a great season like that, we should be in. But I get it. The 1 leads, that's tough.
Yeah, it's part of the deal, and so. But yeah, that was devastating because we were cruising too. But
I heard you kind of touch on a little bit, Coach, and I kind of want to start there with you when you say it was kind of surprising to bring the entire team back. So kind of walk us through that, man. Like, obviously we're in this NIL era, and it's basically glorified free agency. And so what are some of the challenges of that, Coach? Like when for example, we got the big fella this year, he's going crazy. Like, do you expect that he's just going to hit the portal, or is it one of those deals where it's like we know we have to come with a bigger salary for him next year, or like kind of how does that work?
Yeah, I actually don't mind it. I don't mind the whole thing but that's the Findlay Prep coming out. We had a whole new. There was nothing keeping you at Findlay. You could go anywhere. You could guys can get 25 and go to the next school. I mean, you had to have like real relationships, and at the end of the day, real players want to feel like you're getting better.
Right.
Like if you really believe in what you're doing, then guys will stick around a little bit. But like last year we had 2 all-conference guys. One went to USC, one went to NC State. In that first day of the portal, I said, "Man, you got to go in. You got to go in." Like I'm just gonna keep it real. The hometown discount ain't gonna apply here. Like I can't get to those numbers. This is a lot of money, and you know what though? Like I'm fine with that. I'm happy for them. I still watch their games. I still follow their box scores because it's no different than Findlay Prep. We just build a new team every year. This is just prep school now. We're just back to prep school. It's cool. We'll go get 10 more. I got confidence in how we do it. And but you know how the deal is. If you do right by people for enough years, they send you the next one. Hey, this guy can play. I know he can play. He just needs a chance. No problem. That's what we do.
Exactly.
Like big Marcus. He was at a D2 Wheeling in West Virginia.
Really?
But everyone sees what he can't do because he's he doesn't fit the stereotypical player,
right?
And I just see what people do, and then put them into their strengths. It's like Win was, I remember Win coming out. Their guys were saying you're playing the 4 or 5. I said, no, Win's a point guard. What are you talking?
Right.
Just because he's 6'7", 6'8", or what it probably was as a sophomore, you're probably 6'5", 6'6". But we were like, no, we made you play point. Because that's what your mindset was.
Right.
That people love. He played in the open floor. So I just like to see what people can do more than what they can't.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. So some revisionist history. It was never a discussion if I was going to leave Findlay Prep, even if I wanted to. My mom was like, you ain't going nowhere. You're going to make it work out there. I don't care how many times they sit you on the side in practice because your attitude, you're not coming home, so you got to make it work. And so to kind of touch on that, man, I think, some of these better players, like I have seen some guys that had amazing seasons last year and came back to their same school. And it must be because of what you're talking about, the relationships, man. I like the program. I like this coach. I like the direction that we're going in. The grass ain't always greener, but we do have to acknowledge the fact that you can get paid is amazing. But I think we're going to see some failure stories on that too, where you might leave a school, go somewhere else, get a bigger paycheck, expectations go up, and maybe you don't have as good a season. So,
more
it's
pressure,
not always
more
just
pressure.
Exactly.
More pressure, more accountability, more, what I mean? I said it, I've been saying it. Wynn said it a couple times. It's just like the guy from Michigan, who's the quarterback that just turned down $10 million from Michigan, went to LSU, right?
No, he actually went to Michigan for $10 million.
Went to Michigan for $10 million. Okay, so now that gives Stephen A. a chance to, drop the hammer on you. Because now if you play bad, now we dropping the hammer on you. When
you're essentially a professional. You're
a pro now. You're a pro now. You're making money and everybody knows it. So now you're a pro. But Coach, what I will touch on, I heard you say something that Coach Kelvin Sampson used to always say, showing guys strengths and keeping them away from their weaknesses. Can you kind of give us a explanation on that and what you mean by that exactly? Because a lot of guys don't understand that. I had to learn that for myself because I was fighting that with Coach Sampson my first year.
Yep.
Coming from Oregon, playing for Altman, playing for Stubberfield and Altman and those guys, it was kind of more of like a freelance situation where they let you play your game. You play, it was like West Coast basketball. Then I come over to Coach Sampson, where he's already been, he has a culture. He's been in the league. He's been at Oklahoma, Final Four teams, or he's building a culture. So I got there and he was like, all right, so we're going to put you in the corner. You're going to catch and shoot. And you're going to play defense and rebound. You're going to be like a typical Bruce Bowen. And for me, I wasn't feeling that. I kind of felt that as disrespect. I never said anything to him. I never responded to it. But when he called me Bruce Bowen, I was kind of, embarrassed and kind of like what yeah, I'm better than Bruce Bowen. But for full circle that to coming out, he always told me that I'm leaving you with your strengths and keeping you away from your weaknesses. So can you kind of give us a rundown on that and what you mean by that?
Yeah, no, it is. It's I'll use Marcus' example. Marcus is 6'7", probably 280 now, somewhere in that ballpark, and he's a sniper. He can handle the ball, do all those things, and he can score on the block. Does it make sense to make him into a guy that's switching out on tiny guards in the middle of the floor? No, probably not. Probably not. I say to my staff all the time, don't make a fish climb a tree. You know what I mean? Like, that don't make any sense. So let's put guys in positions that fit what you do. So I'm just because he's good on the block, I'm not going to take away the fact that he can really shoot. So I'm going to I tell him all the time, you don't have to hunt these shots. I'm going to create them for you. I'm going to get you your 6-7 3-point attempts a game. I'm going to get you those. You don't have to hunt them. I'm going to get you your 6-7 touches on the block. I'm going to get you, but everyone's got something different. I'm not going to put guys that don't have a handle and make them have to do stuff in ball screens or whatever. So you just try to put guys in the right spots. But some guys are elite second side catch and shoot guys. So you put them in those type of spots. So that's what we mean by. But you're not necessarily. We work on their whole game. Like we do skill work day one. We play in the national championship. We'll do skill work the day before the national championship. We're going to do it every single day, and we're working on all the skill sets with every player. It's not like we just do guards and bigs, and so you're going to develop all of that. But there's going to be a time and place to use it, I think so. It's just all about perspective on that. I think you just how can you put guys in the best light to shine? And then show guys the numbers and film and say, hey, don't show people what you can't do. This is going to cost you money. I talk about all the time about the professional side. Like right here, this is what they're paying for you for. This is what they're going to not pay you for. Don't show them this. Yeah. I'm not afraid to talk about that. That's is an important piece of what I believe my mission is.
Coach, how tough is that to kind of get through the guys? I can think about myself back in that time period, and everybody's kind of how they are based off things that happened to them when they were kids. So myself here in Houston, everybody was like, no, you can't handle the ball, you're a big man. Yeah. And I just rebelled against that to the point where I really worked on that, and I really wanted to show everybody no, this is what I believe I am. But at that time, if you talk to coaches, they would have said, man, he has a terrible attitude, he doesn't listen. So how do you kind of manage that of what you see for a guy based off what he sees for himself?
Yeah, it's that's where the relationship kicks in. Like, I think if guys know where your heart is and they know hey, I care about you other than when I'm just coaching you and trying to get the behavior I want out of you. If I care about you on Tuesday, then next Thursday, maybe you're going, there's a better chance that you're going to say, yeah, this guy's trying to tell me something that's right. Like coaching you, I can coach your type of guy. You're my type of guy, right? I'll tell you, I like guys whose cup's full, right? There was nothing half full about your cup ever. There's nothing half full about my cup ever. So what does that mean? Yeah, it's going to get emotional sometimes. It's going to get the whole range of emotions, but you can't put in what God left out. I would much rather have guys that run hot. You know.
Hey, bro, that is a typical Findlay Prep comment, Dot. I don't know if you ever heard that, but it's one of the most backhanded compliments you could get. Well, I mean, Coach Peck, I can't put in with guys.
Yeah, he did always say that.
What do you want me to do? I can't put in with guys without something. Yeah.
Right.
It's still 20 years later, it's still strong. But it's true. Like, I'll take competitors all day long, and in competitors, the reason I like competitors and guys that like have an emotion about them that just because competitors are going to find a way to get better. Like, so if something's not working, you can talk to a competitor, say like, look, I know how good you're trying to be, so do this, and I'm going to show you why. You know, because a competitor is going to have an open heart and open ear, not because you know this, that, or the other. It's because they want to be better and they want to win. You know, so that's my cheat code in recruiting, is just to find. I mean, and I'm talking about. I mean, I'm the worst loser of all time. My kids are bad losers. I'm not letting them win at checkers. I'm 57-1 against my 6-year-old daughter. Like, I'm not letting you win. I'm going to win. And I think that mentality is so vital to everything that we do and to learning. I really do. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah. No, so for me, I think, like, I touched back on the strength and weaknesses stuff. I think that was my biggest humbling moment of my whole college career, you know, because I was in Oregon, I was playing well, got in trouble, transferred to Houston. But meeting Coach Sampson, I think, was my pivotal moment, as when I realized that, hey, okay, I can be a professional player, but I have to do these things to the maximum capacity and let the rest play his toll. So I will say that specific, you know what I mean, terminology, I think that goes a long way with players and coaches and having that relationship and trusting one another. Because if I see one thing for you and you don't see it in yourself, I think you should possibly listen to the coach and, you know what I mean, take that advice. Hey, sit in the corner, catch and shoot, pick and roll hard, make that pass on the short roll, make it to the corner, rebound, play hard, use your motor. Okay, cool. Let me do that. Let me maximize that, and I could potentially become a pro. So I think that was one of my most humbling moments in college. And ever since then, you know, I kind of just look at it like that. Hey, look, stay away from your weaknesses, do your strengths, and you're going to be the best player on the court that you can possibly be. So that's great advice. You know what I mean? I take that to the toll. If I ever become a coach, that's going to be one of my main focuses. So I love that you said that you're my favorite coach already. So for sure. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's a big deal, man. It's a big deal.
So let's kind of continue with that, Coach Simon, and let's kind of touch on this a little bit, man. So speaking on that, man, how difficult is it to kind of coach these guys or push these guys with the state of the game, right? Like, these guys are basically 100,000-aires by the time they 18, 19. You know, I mean, we had no money back then, or we wasn't supposed to, I should say. And, you know, it was still tough to get messages through to us, or, you know, we still thought we knew everything. So how much more, you know, is a guy that has, I don't know, $250,000 salary already at 18, 19, 20? How much more difficult is it to get through to these guys?
You know, I think you just got to keep it real with them, you know, and I think that's where it starts. I mean, have conversations about this is what this money means, and this is what it doesn't mean. It doesn't guarantee you nothing. It doesn't guarantee you. It's a tool. We try to do all the life skills stuff and say, look, man, money's just a tool, but don't let it, you know, there's two currencies in life. It's time and money. And the reality is there's only one, but the money's just buying you better time. And so don't trade your time and your dreams and trade it all for something short-sighted. You know what I mean? But if you use it as a tool to help you to get to where you're going, now that's a whole different animal. Now you've really figured out the roadmap to this thing. And I think that's the ones that are really figuring it out. The ones that feel like they've made it, you know, as you know, once you get to adulthood, you realize how significant or insignificant some of that money is, in the grand scheme of things. And that's what I don't like. My only beef with some of the changes, I think you're seeing more guys, trade their dreaming, for immediate dividends. And I've talked to guys, and I got coaches and buddies in the business, and hey, I need a 9th, 10th man. I don't need them to play, but I'm gonna pay them enough that they're gonna be happy and be an insurance policy. It's like, well, you kind of just sold your dream for a check for 2 years to sit. Like, I mean, I don't, that. So I try to be. I think there's a very fine line. The tool is very important. I understand. Like, look, man, Win knows. I lived with 12 players for 6 years or whatever it was. I know all the backgrounds. I know that was a lot of money. I wasn't getting a bunch of help to pay for college, nothing like that. So I know what it means, to come up and where guys are coming from. So I'm all for guys getting taken care of, 100%, and to maximize their ability. And as long as they're balancing that their dream gets taken care of along the way. And that goes back to those competitors that we talked about. Competitors going to still try to figure out how to get on the floor. That money ain't going to change them that much.
Yeah. Right. And it sounds to me like what you're saying, though, is, man, hey, even if you sign $1 million deal at 18, 19, that's not going to last that long. You got to give mom something. You got to give dad something. You're going to buy a car. You're going to get some jewelry. So by the time you look up, that money can easily be gone. And like you said, if you have traded your dream for that, is that really the trade-off that you want by having to live the next 30, 40 years of like, man, I once got $1 million at 18 and now I don't have it anymore. So I'm in total agreement with that.
Yeah, and I will also touch on that because I kind of talked about this a little bit with my teammates out here. We were discussing like NIL and stuff out here. And I was saying, like, back when I was coming out 2012, before that, anytime before that, a lot of guys will say, hey, look, this is my dream school. North Carolina is my dream school, or Texas is my dream school, or U of H is my dream school. Now it's like, it's just who has the money. I don't like these. I think these kids now is not like, well, I was big. I wanted to go to Georgia Tech. That was my dream school, coming out of high school. So now it's like whoever got the most money. I think that's kind of a weird way to look at it, because when I was coming up, I guess when you was coming up too, Coach, it was the dream school. Like, you go to your dream school. If you get recruited by that school, you're going to commit, no matter like what's their record. Like, that's your dream school. But now it's like, who has the most money? I don't care if it's on the other side of the country. We're going. So kind of, can you kind of touch on that a little bit? Do you think guys should still stay like going where they want to go and not let the money determine where you go?
Yeah, because it's become it's kind of a careful what you get into type of thing. I think some of this is starting to slowly trend into kind of the European model. Here's the offer, take it or leave it. And some of these are like, you're not visiting, you're not doing that. I was talking to coaches and saying that we're not doing any more official visits. We're just going to send the offer. You're going to accept it, yes or no. Boom, boom, boom. We're playing matchmaker. Well, at the end of the day, though, like, this isn't professional sports quite yet, because you still got a school component. You're 18 to 22. You're still a little bit in figuring out who you are, getting your independence. Who your mentors are at that little age of your life is still really important. Coaching style, who can you play for? You know what I mean? Like, you can lose the love of the game in a minute in this thing if you're not ready for what you're getting yourself into. So I think that's the short-sightedness of making those type of decisions. I think you've got to weigh all the factors, and I think there's a balance between what you're receiving that you're comfortable with, but also you got to live this life. You got to walk in those shoes. You got to walk in that space. these are the relationships I want. Is this an offensive system I can play in? Is this a defensive system I can play in? Can I have success here? Is there a pathway to my goals and dreams? I think that checklist still has to exist, and now there's another weight to that thing. Now you got to weigh up that money piece of it. But I don't think you can eliminate that other part of it, because if you do, I think you're going to see, some disappointment, and let's be real now too. Like, you see it a little bit, because we see it all in the bounce backs, and then guys take money for a year, don't play, and then year 2 you're not getting much, and you have to work your way back up. And some guys are doing it the other way, where let me go get on the floor early, make an impact, boom, 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 get a nice setup, and then might create more options. So there's a lot of ways to do it. If it was my own son, I'd say, look, get on the floor. Get to be a pivotal piece as quick as you can, and learn from that experience, but be with people that you trust, number one, because the trust factor is going out. As business goes up, trust goes down.
Especially not going on a visit. That was, you want to come back to the school and tell everybody how the visit was. I'm not going on a visit now. It's not the same. I can't. I understand where these guys are at now. I'm all for it. I'm all with it. But I was excited to go on those visits on the weekends, So, young guys out there, please take your visits, man. That's all I would say. Take your visits. Your visits.
Like you said, Coach Simon, and after hearing you say that, I think that's a perfect parallel. It's like going to Europe. Like, you don't take visits to Europe. It's, hey, we got $7,500 a month for you. Do you want it or not? The offer's not going up. This is what it is. Do you want to come? And oftentimes you don't know who that coach is, or you don't know what type of offense they run. You don't know the city. You just know, well, I can take $7,500 a month over here, or I can take $5,000 a month over here. And I would say 9 out of 10 guys would just say, well, I want the more money. I'm gonna go over there. And like you said, even I was watching the Maui tournament. I won't say the school or players, but there's a guy, and they were like, oh, this is his 4th school in 4 years. And I was just like, damn, like, you build no camaraderie. How do you really gel with the coach? How does that coach of the next school able to coach you any harder than the last school? Is he thinking like, damn, if this doesn't go right, this guy's out of here anyway? Like, so there's a lot of questions in it. But I'm like you, I'm not opposed to it at all. And, if anything, it just gives you a dose of reality into the real world at an earlier age. Whereas I didn't learn some of this stuff till I was 23. And in my first year in Europe, and I'm like, oh, damn, is this really how the game goes? But now you can maybe learn some of that at 17, 18, which could potentially help you down the line to become a better adult, better professional player. So there's some positives and some negatives to it, absolutely. But I think that's a great parallel, man. It's just like going overseas to play in Europe. You're not taking a visit. Just know how much money we got for you. You're not going to talk to the coach before you go, and it's sign a contract, and we'll see you in 10 months.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that's the decision folks got to make, is like, hey, do you want that professional life to start in college, or do you want to use college still as the launching pad into your professional career? There's 2 different paths now. So, and not saying there's a right or wrong way, but in the long run, probably finding a balance and still using this as a launching pad is might be a good strategy in the long term.
Well, let me switch gears with you, Coach. I know we've been taking up a lot of your time, man, but we appreciate you coming. Kind of the last things we want to top into or jump into, I should say. Sorry about that, chat. Is let's get back into some of the Findlay Prep golden years, man. I went back and I was watching the season. I don't know if you remember this, man.
Oh, yeah.
That was an amazing time. That was an amazing show that Donnie put on. Shout out to Donnie. I'm not sure. I haven't spoken to you in years, brother, but I want to let you know you did a great job on Findlay Prep this season. And
the YouTube series? The YouTube series?
Yeah.
I was tapped in.
That's an amazing
Especially after y'all came and beat us. I tuned in to the season for sure.
I was going to say, Coach, I was going to ask you, there was an episode where it was basically kind of highlighting you a little bit and your recruitment, and you were talking about Ennis Cantor coming over and him coming over for a couple of weeks and then dipping. I remember kind of being there. Obviously, we all got there at the same time, and I remember seeing this guy. I didn't know that he was an international superstar at the time, and I just remember him leaving, and I didn't really know, damn, what happened, why, what. So, that was an interesting episode, man, of just kind of, I think, the start of the Findlay Prep kind of lure, man. Touch on that for us.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love the big net. I wanted to go get everybody. We wanted to be the best team in the history of high school basketball every year. That was always our channel. That was the goal, right? And we had Big Tristan coming back, who was number 1 player in the country. And so I said, all right, we can go find the number 1 player in the world. And so we got Big Ennis, and he was so that year. So he was living with me and my wife. We moved out. We only had a couple guys living with us at that time, and so he stayed. I think maybe 3 weeks, a month, and then everybody started saying he was a pro. So all the other schools on the circuit started saying, no, we're not going to play Ennis. He's a pro. He's a pro. He's a pro. And which he might have been a pro. I don't know. But him and he was cool. He was like, I'll come off the bench. He didn't care. But him and Tristan obviously go 3 and 4 in the draft 2 years later. And those practices for a minute there were wild because those guys are monsters. In fact, when Ennis had to go to a prep school because he couldn't, they weren't going to let him play high school. So we scrimmaged. I don't know if you remember this. When we scrimmaged that prep school,
Mountain State, right?
It was Ennis and Tristan 1-on-1. Tristan was another one. I loved poking him back then because he'd always get fired up and so those two were just going at it. I think Tristan might have had 30 and 20. I think Ennis had like 25 and 20. I mean, just ridiculously motivated. 2 guys trying to show something. Nobody in the gym. I still have the film to this day. And so when it comes time to draft, fast forward a year, I helped Ennis go to Kentucky where he wasn't allowed to play. And then Tristan obviously goes to Texas, does his thing for a year. And when it comes time to draft, they're like, teams are calling me saying, hey, you have this film. I said, I'm gonna give it out to top 5 teams only. That's it. And I think that really helped both of them because this film was spectacular. You watch this thing and obviously they both had incredible careers, $100 million careers, each of them. That was a legend. We still did all right without Big Ennis, without a doubt. I think it was another nice addition. But yeah, we had a lot of good times. I loved recruiting to Findlay.
It definitely would not have been fair to have Ennis and even one step further, probably would have hurt minutes for guys like Godwin, myself, Dakiba. We probably wouldn't have been able to play that much. So thank you, Ennis, for coming and leaving. Congratulations on a great career. But you opened up some minutes for some of us other guys to kind of be able to show some stuff. And man. So like I said, man, that was a golden time, man. I can remember getting there and just honestly being in like a culture shock, man. It was just, you come from, at least me, I'm coming from Houston, in my own little bubble, I'm the best player. And pretty much that first week of Findlay is just like a culture shock, Dad. I mean, from the running to the Coach Simon checking to see if you made your bed up, and you get some extra running if you don't make your bed up, to we got the infamous mile time. I don't know if you guys are still doing that at Bowling Green, but I know we had to run the mile, but not on the track. Like an A to B point, right? So you go start at A and you're going down, you hit a cone, and then you got to go back up a mountain. And if you don't make the time, Doc, you're not getting any Findlay Prep gear, which everybody wants the gear. You know that. That's the guy.
The gear is nice.
The gear is amazing.
That sounds like a U of H thing. That sounds like a Kelvin Sampson thing too. Yeah. You have to make the mile time. You have to make your running to get your gear. Everybody wants the gear, man. Everybody wants
guys come to Findlay Prep and leave because they couldn't make that mile time and didn't get their gear, which looking back on it is sad, but at the same time, it just kind of lets you know how tough it was, man. And man, I think Coach Simon, it almost makes it even more legendary that it's not even open anymore. It's like you'll never be able to get in or get out of there again. And I don't really understand, man. Maybe you can shed some light, man. Why did the school close down? Why are we still not running the dynasty like Oak Hill? What's going on?
Yeah, well, when COVID hit, everyone got sent home, and then the Henderson International School, which obviously owned the facility, was sold, I believe, to a third party, I believe, and so that complicated things. But I think once that COVID hit and made everything a little muddy, with all those factors kind of combined, it just kind of got away, and it just never was a smooth situation to bring it back. But Mr. Findlay and I talk every week, and we've had a lot of conversations about getting the band back together. But man, it's kind of, you're right though. It's like one of those.
Y'all bring Win on the staff, man. Make sure y'all get Winston on the staff, man.
No, we talked about getting doing like a Vegas reunion one of these summers.
Man, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
I got to show you this picture. This sits right behind my desk every day. I got young Win. Let's see if I can get her on there.
2011, 2012.
There we go.
Right young
yes,
15.
sir. Yes, sir.
Sit right on the desk.
Right on the desk, man. My guy, man. It don't matter how long we go, man. We talk. It's like we never missed a beat, man.
No question.
That's amazing, man. So, like I said, Coach, I know you got to get going, man. I know, we've been taking up enough of your day. I'm sure you got plenty of things you got to get into, man. But before we let you get out of here, we got to put your feet to the fire a little bit. We got to get you going. We got to get an official statement. I know all the people that's going to be watching at home in the chat, they love to come and see. And it's a staple of our show. And, just a little talking point, nothing too crazy, lighthearted. But if you had to give your Findlay Prep starting five, who is the starting five players from Findlay Prep? Now, I know there's been McDonald's All-Americans, #1 draft picks, first-round draft picks. Guys have went undrafted and end up signing $80 million contracts. So I get it. I know it's probably going to be impossible to not step on somebody's toes or to not whatever. But again, before he goes, it's all lighthearted. It's all fun.
Free disclaimer. Disclaimer. It's a disclaimer. Nobody take it to heart. It's not personal. It's not personal.
But if you had to get the starting five, man, who would it be, Coach Simon?
Ooh, that's tough. It's got to be the champions, #1. That's my first filter. You have to have a championship, which almost everybody got one. Man, like Tristan got 2. Corey Joseph got a couple. You got a couple.
Nigel should have a couple.
Nigel's right there. Nigel, I think, got 3. It's hard to argue, or maybe he got 2. He got 2. He got 2. Anthony Denick was one in the draft.
Did DA get one? Did DA get one? Did y'all get one?
DA was one. Yep. This was that senior year when we came back against Mount Verde.
Hey, by the way, I got to tell one quick story about that Mount Verde game. I don't know if I ever told you this story. So we're playing that championship game, right, against Mount Verde, big comeback game, the whole thing. Well, middle of the second half, one of the TV guys comes during a timeout, pulls me aside. And I was like, what's this? Who is this guy? Like, why is this guy on the court? He says, hey, Shepard's talking so much mess to D'Angelo Russell that's coming over. It's the TV mics are picking it up. Can you slow down a minute? I got back to the house huddle. I was so happy. I over there. I said, "Keep doing what you're doing. Maybe get a little louder."
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, but no, man. There's so many. DA was great. The multi-year guys probably get a little nod because if you went through what we were doing for multiple years, I got major respect for that. Jorge Gutierrez was tough. He was getting MVP of everything. Brandon Ashley was tough.
B. Ash.
I know I'm going all over the rails on this thing.
Yeah,
But
I'm just waiting. We just waiting on the top 5. We know it
Yeah,
can get a little
man.
sticky. We can get a little sticky. We didn't put everybody that we had on here in the fire. It's just take your time, but we need that top 5. Like I said, free disclaimer. There's no hard feelings. This is your perspective, and we want Coach Simon perspective.
Tristan's got to be there. Avery Bradley's got to be there. Corey's got to be there.
It's 3.
Those 3.
Yeah.
After that, it gets really hard.
Yeah.
You know what, though? I'm going to give the Nigel went 4 years of that, and you went 3 years. I'm going to give you two the final 2 spots. You went through.
Man, he's being
he's being nice. A lot of wins. I'm just go off of win totals. That's a lot of wins, my man.
That's a start. So we're going starting 5, and we're going to start at 5. So is Win at the 1 or is Nigel at the 1?
Nah, we got Corey Joseph at the 1. I can't take the ball out of his hands.
You a tweener. You the tweener.
I can't take the ball out of Corey Joseph's hands now. Come on.
Yeah, I'll throw Nigel there, and then
you threw Avery Bradley.
Avery Bradley probably at the 2, Nigel at the 3, maybe.
Yeah, that's a match down to us.
Mm-hmm.
So like
that's a solid. That's a team. I might go 4 years in a row championship. I like that. I like that.
That's a lot.
That's pretty.
That's a lot of wins right there.
Yeah. A lot of rings. Official Findlay Prep top 5, man, from my guy Coach Simon. Man, I really, really, really appreciate you, Coach, for real. We got to make sure we stay in touch. Make sure you tell Miss Kate, everybody I said what's up. Again, man, I can't express enough gratitude for you coming, taking the time out to do this. This is something that we're trying to build up the right way. We're not trying to go for clickbaits or talking crazy or, saying off the wall stuff, man. Just good old fashioned, good info, good intel to give back to the youth. I think this is going to be really something that can be used. And hopefully one of you guys out there can learn a thing or two. This is the official Coach's Corner episode, first one, man. So, the first one is always the most special. We the inaugural, kicking it off. So with that being said, man, we want to give a huge thank you and a warm welcome for Coach Simon, taking time out of his busy day. My man is a head coach of a D1 program right now, taking time out of his day to spend some time with me and whole team. Dot means the world to us, man. And we look forward to chopping this up, cutting this up, and making sure we got you looking good on the net. And
appreciate it, Coach. Appreciate it, Coach, man. Thank you for taking your time out. I'm gonna definitely be tuned in all the way from Turkey. Let's stay in touch. We're gonna make sure everything on our end is perfect and put you in the right light. So, man, like I said again, man, appreciate it. My first time meeting you, but hearing it from my brother, hearing it from you, hearing your stories, hearing y'all journey, it makes us all family. So I appreciate it, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep it rolling. We'll be in touch. We'll be watching.
New fan, Bowling Green.
You got a new fan, Bowling Green. You got new fans of Bowling Green. Let's go.
Bowling Green.
I'm gonna send some gear down that way.
I was gonna say, man, I'm still a size 2X. Nothing changed.
Please do. Man. So that's season 2. This episode 6. But this is the first segment of Coach's Corner from Your Perspective. Damian Dotson here, Winston Separate, and the head coach of Bowling Green, Todd Simon. Appreciate it. Means a lot. Have a great day, Coach. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys.